Issei Haido is a stupid, lonely loser who is also a first-class pervert from Kuo Academy. Bro can't even manage to get a girlfriend but has Disney fairy tale dreams of being a harem king. Everything changes when he is killed by a fallen angel and ends up revived to serve a bunch of extremely hot, juicy, and endowed devil family. Unlike you, these monkeys are surrounded by ladies, and yes, like you, they can't land a single girlfriend of their own. Issei Matsuda, Suda for short, and Motohama, Toha for short. They start off this anime wishing they could feel the fleshiness of the frontal assets of a pretty girl. They lament heavily on how they thought the girl-to-boy ratio had an overwhelming difference, with the number of girls towering over the number of guys, like you and the junction where you finally stop watching anime. It's far. Despite this difference, instead of ladies swarming them, they treat the guys like flies. Well, maybe just these guys, because another guy passed by just now, and he's living the dream of these losers in broad daylight. His name is Kiba, and well, let's just say, not everyone is on good terms with him, but the ladies are sure swarming him. The three of them put on their peeping Tom behavior, but the holes were not enough for all three. Issei struggled to peek, and in doing so, they made a noise, and the ladies realized their innocence was being devoured by some lowlifes. By the time the ladies showed up, it was only Issei, who didn't get a chance to peep, who was caught and given the beating of his life. Later on, the guys rendezvoused at their secret meeting point, and as they discussed, Issei noticed a redhead at the window of the building they were beside. She took one good look at their ugly faces, decided that Issei was the prettiest of them all, and made a move on him. When she got back inside, I'm already grinning hard because I know that from the looks of the sheer size, shape, and perkiness of the redhead and the second girl who's standing beside her, this series is full of weeb armor. And hey, aren't we here to feed our eyes? The redhead gets up and begins to undress, and blood of Jesus. Take a look at those opai. Y'all should thank me for going through the stress of making frontal assets into a word YT can allow. Let's try this. One fateful evening, a sweet-looking girl blocked the ugly cow Issei and told him that she'd like to go out with him. Unbeknownst to him, she was going to be his undoing. The next day, with shoulders as high as Mount Everest, he introduced her to his friends, who were mortified by his betrayal. Soon after, they go on a date, and at the end of the day, she tells him to do one thing: go and meet his maker. His ears could not believe what she said. She repeated, and this time I heard, Home ahewa motion da heru, and the bro was like, Nani? She puts a spear through him, and oh yeah, I forgot. Earlier when he arrived at the venue, he was given a coupon that said they'd grant his any wish, and before she stabbed him, she transformed into a being with vampire-like wings. During her transformation, the Virgin had enough time to ogle her, and on top of that, Issei was making his last wish about wanting to die in the arms of the redhead. Just then, a magic circle showed up, and the redhead appeared and said that from now on, he'll serve her. Issei wakes up the next morning with pains all over his body and finds out his friends have no memory of the girlfriend he introduced to them. They teased him and later went to the house to watch, in quotes, "bralicious films." Issei found out that even in the dark, he could see as bright as day. He decided to step out, and when he got to the fountain, the girl who killed him attacked him again. He's attacked again by a fallen angel who stabs him with a holy sword that acts like a wolfbane. Just when the fallen angel was about to end him, Issei cried out for help, and the redhead and her girls came around and saved him. He wakes up again with more pains, and this time he wakes up without any clothing. And the redhead was on the bed too, in her full glory. The dumb virgin, who might not be a virgin anymore, jumped out of bed instead of saying the famous Chris Tucker and Ice Cube line, "Damn!" Rias the redhead wakes up smiling and explains to him that she is a devil and she is his master, as he was reincarnated by her. When Issei woke up to a surprise that even his wildest dreams couldn't have prepared him for, seeing Rias snuggled up beside him, you'd think a certified virgin like Issei, who's been daydreaming about girls since the day he stepped his foot on the school soil, would be doing backflips of joy. But nah, bro was frozen like an ice statue and staring like a deer caught in headlights. His brain is doing everything to comprehend the sheer size of the bee rest on her, because damn, brother! Look at those French curves she's blessed with. Things take a turn for the best when his mom casually strolls into the room. She announced her entry all the way from the staircase, and as he rallied around the room to cover her, he utterly failed at doing that. When his mom opened the door, what did she find? Her son in bed with a girl in her full glory, but his mom gives a rather shocking reaction. Rias, meanwhile, casually had dropped the bomb that she's a devil, was just there like nothing was happening. She tells him one of the sweetest things a weeb like you and I can ever be told, that he can look at her B-rest whenever and however he likes. Later, Issei's school day drags on, but not as usual. It did not take long before the plot twist slapped his friends in the face. After digesting the slap, they met up with him in the hallway and returned the plot twist slap of being with Rias, with a sweet savoring punch to the face. Q. The billions of questions he has to answer. A guy named Kiba, who's basically the human embodiment of every girl's dream boyfriend in any shoujo anime, the only guy who actually gets the girls in this anime, and the enemy of all the other boys in this anime. He shows up. He's here to escort Issei to the occult research club. Issei has just upgraded from pervy high schooler to pervy high schooler in a mysterious occult club. You see, when I told my friends that only devils could pull every girl they came across, they thought I was lying. Kiba is here to prove me right. The room is filled with characters that look like they stepped out of a supernatural battle series. There's Akeno, whose vibe screams sweet, but will end you in a second. She's got wonderful milk jugs hanging off her like a milk factory. There's Koneko, the small stoic girl who'd probably give you a deadpan look even if a meteor crashed into the room. Rias comes out of the shower and immediately fills his cup with the whole angels versus devils versus fallen angels situation. It's basically just a clash of titans with humans as the people who just happen to live on Earth, while the supernaturals do their thing without human knowledge. And just like that, Issei's ex-girlfriend Yuma, yeah, the one who turned into a black-winged horror, killed him, and she owns the first ever B-rest he ever saw in real life, is confirmed to be a fallen angel. Talk about dating gone wrong. As if things weren't crazy enough, Issei gets his first devil task, handing out pamphlets. After doing his best salesman impression, he then takes one of Koneko's clients, and the client wanted Koneko but had to settle for the low-life demon that was sent his way, and they end of talking about Drago M Super. And no, I didn't spell it wrong. I know you the anime DBS, but here, it's Drago M Super, and the famous Kamehameha is called Dragon Wave, and his name is Gonsoku. But before he can even breathe a sigh of relief, he's ambushed by Kalawana, yet another fallen angel, who clearly missed the memo that Issei's life is already chaotic enough. Luckily, Issei taps into his sacred gear, unlocking some hidden power that lets him fend her off. The next day in school, he's stopped by some damn big behind that's stuck in something. You know those, stepbrother. I'm stuck. Apparently the big bunda he ran into was that of a nun, and whatever he did with her bunda is none of your business. Do you want to know how hard he hit her with his nunchucks? He helps the nun, her name is Asian, dusting off her robe like a pro. She tells him she's lost, and being the kind of guy who's a sucker for damsels in distress and anything in a skirt, he agrees to take her back to the church. But let's be real here. If you're walking with a cute girl, things are bound to go, let's say sideways. Along the way, they bump into a kid bawling his eyes out over a bruised knee. Asia, being all saintly, goes full healer mode and fixes the kid up in no time. Issei watches this go down and suddenly gets a weird, queasy feeling, like he just ate 10 bowls of ramen in record time. As they near the church, the nausea ramps up. Issei's face turns green like he's about to puke. When they finally arrive near the church, Issei taps out, since he can't go any further. Later he grills Rias about why he felt like he was going to lose his lunch at the church. Rias, in her typical queenly fashion, explains that the church is enemy territory. She spills the beans, telling him Asia is basically hanging out with the enemy. Rias advises him to stay away from her if he wants to keep his head on straight. Fast forward to Rias and the gang taking Issei on a field trip, and yeah, it's the fun fight type. This one involves hunting down a rogue devil who went AWOL and sent its master into the depths of the endless abyss of debt. While they're on the job, Rias takes a moment to explain how everyone's chess rankings work. Issei, as usual, was just a pawn. Later, Issei gets another mission. This time, it's to seal a contract. When no one answers the door, Issei does what any sane person wouldn't. He just walks right in. There's a dead body waiting to greet him. Enter Freed, an unhinged exorcist who clearly needs a new hobby as he brags about eliminating the guy and working for fallen angels, like it's something to put on his resume. He spots Issei, figures out he's a devil, and decides to play whack-a-mole with him using a gun and a light sword. Issei's not having the best day, especially after getting shot in the leg. Just when things are about to get really ugly, Asia pops into play. She's putting up a barrier, and then, just to be extra, he reveals to Asia that Issei's a devil. Fried makes a move to finish Issei off, but Asia rushes in to play hero. Unfortunately, Fried isn't impressed, and he easily shoves her aside like a pile of garbage. He pins her to a wall. This causes Issei's protective instincts to kick in. Fried asked him to pay for Fried plus to watch everything live and direct. But despite being in serious pain, Issei launches a punch right into Fried's face, knocking him back. When it looks like Fried's about to turn Issei into mincemeat, the Occult Research Club shows up. They save Issei's ass. Issei tries to save Asia, but the teleportation circle only works for members of the Gremory clan. Issei struggles to break free from Kaneko's grip as he watches Asia get left behind, feeling like he just failed his very own Save the Girl side quest. Issei's recovery from the last battle wasn't exactly a relaxing vacation. Full body hugs without clothes and 100% spa care, just so he can be healed. He's determined to get stronger, especially since Asia's still in danger. Rias, being the overprotective president she is, keeps scolding him for poking his nose into enemy territory. He knows what he wants, and what he wants is to rescue Asia. When a bro feels weak, you know what a bro is going to wake up one day and do? He'll decide it's time for some serious muscle building. So, naturally, he goes to the park to work on his chin-ups. You can just imagine him trying to look all tough while struggling to get through 10 reps. But fate has a funny way of interrupting training montages because who should show up but Asia? Instead of working out, they end up going on a date. I'd be having PTSD by now because the last time, the virgin didn't just die once, he died twice. It plunged him into this abyss of milk jugs. But oh well, a win is a win. However, this time it's an actual date. Issei's life is like an accidental harem anime at this point, and we don't even realize it. The date is going well, though she kept muttering that it was the last time he'll ever see her. Just when he got up, he announced that he'll be her friend after hearing her sad, lonely life story. Enter Raynar, the fallen angel, who had previously tricked Issei by pretending to be Yuma. Yeah, she's back, and she's not interested in a peaceful reunion. She picks a fight with Issei, and well, let's just say it doesn't end well for him. Issei might have the heart of a hero, but his fighting skills are still way worse than my cooking skills. Raynar hands him a pretty solid beatdown, like when Toph beat down the boulder, all while Issei's trying his best to protect Asia. It's like watching Deku go up against All Might. Seeing Issei battered and bruised, Asia pulls a classic noble sacrifice move and offers to go with Raynar in exchange for Issei's safety. Raynar, probably amused at how easy this all turned out, agrees and whisks Asia away, leaving Issei in a crumpled heap of regret. We know this virgin is not going to let the girl, who he might actually break his virginity, slip out of his hands that easily. Issei limps back to the club room, hoping to get some help. But to his surprise, Rias actually agrees to help this time. She explains that, as a pawn, Issei can rank up to other pieces in their devil chess game, which sounds cool until you realize he's still a total newbie at this devil stuff. Even Sakura eventually became useful, so there's hope for Issei, too. Armed with a new plan, Issei teams up with Kiba and Kaneko to storm the church and save Asia, while Rias and Akeno handle the trio of fallen angels guarding the place. It's like a high-stakes episode of Attack on Titan, but with less screaming about freedom and more epic devil powers. Boy, was there a lot of screaming in AOTA as they approach. Fried shows up again, clearly having not learned his lesson from their last encounter. This time, however, Issei ranks up to Rook, and with Kaneko's help, they defeat Fried with one sweet punch from our ugly moose, Issei. Though he manages to escape like the sneaky villain he is, it's a victory for Team Issei. Realizing that his date with Asia had taken the worst possible turn. It's like the sad ending of a Full Metal Alchemist episode, except now he's more determined than ever to set things right. I'm just chilling because of his outburst. Raynar, in full villain mode, extracts Asia's sacred gear like she's downloading an app and installs it herself. Okay, now, that was very funny. While that's happening, Issei, Kiba, and Kaneko are busy fighting through a bunch of rogue exorcists like they're playing the most intense level of Resident Evil. Somehow, between all the chaos, Issei manages to reach Asia, and he gets a hold of her just as Raynar releases her from the cross. He carries her down the stairs like he's in the final scene of a tragic romance movie, all while Kiba and Kaneko hold off the exorcists like they're playing defense in a football game. But here's the thing, without her sacred gear, Asia's life starts fading fast. Issei, who's beyond head over heels, struck by love, begs her to hang on, promising to stay by her side, but it's clear she's not going to make it. In her final moments, Asia thanks Issei for being her first friend. Don't get me started on how this kind of sad moment can happen 5 times in one filler episode of Naruto. Of course, just when things couldn't get worse, Reiner shows up again. She's got Asia's sacred gear, and she's rubbing it in his face by healing her own injuries. Disgusted, but mostly vexed in sore displeasure by Reiner's total lack of empathy and how she treated Asia's life like a joke, Issei's temper flares up like the flames of hell. Anyways, he's a devil. He challenges Reiner to a fight, even though it looks like he's way out of his league. Meanwhile, outside the church, Rias and Aquino are still handling the trio of fallen angels. Rias gets even angrier when someone insults one of her servants and promptly disposes of them. If anyone doubted that Rias is the queen of cool rage, this scene shuts them up. Back inside, Issei's attempt to fight Reiner goes about as well as expected, which is to say, it's a disaster. Reiner, with her new superpowered self, easily smacks him around and impales his thighs with light spears. Issei's down, but not out. He remembers Rias's advice, begging for the strength to defeat Reiner. Suddenly, his sacred gear kicks into action for the first time, boosting his power way beyond Reiner's. Issei lands a punch right on Reiner's face, knocking her out in one blow. That's some One Punch Man level stuff right there. But when will they give me a season 3 of OPM? Damn. After the battle, Rias and the gang show up to congratulate Issei on his first real win. Koneko drags the defeated Reiner back inside, and Rias notices something about Issei's sacred gear. Turns out Issei's gear isn't the twice critical blah 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 like they thought, but the boosted gear, one of the 13 Longinus. It's packing the spirit of the Red Dragon Emperor. Realizing she's way out of her depth, Reiner shapeshifts back into her Yuma form, begging Issei for mercy. But Issei is not falling for that sob story again. Instead of finishing her off himself, he calmly turns his back and gets Rias to handle it. I'm proud of bro. I'm proud. That was supposed to sound cool. After confirming Reiner's death, Issei looks pretty down. After all, his first girlfriend just died. But then Rias pulls out a surprise twist. She revives Asia as a devil using the bishop piece from her evil pieces set, and even restores Asia's sacred gear. Issei's mood does a 180, and he welcomes Asia back with a big smile. The next day at the Occult Research Club, Issei questions Rias about whether there are 7 more pawns. But Rias reveals she used all her pieces to revive him. She tells him to become the ultimate pawn, giving him a little kiss on the forehead and shoving half his face down her enormous, humongous milk jugs until Asia shows up. As they celebrate their newest member, a mysterious figure is shown spying on them through a red bird outside the window. Not you typical cliffhanger. So, things are getting spicy in the Occult Research Club, and Asia has officially upgraded her living arrangements. She's been hanging out with the club for a while, but now, she's decided it's time to move in with the Hyudu crew. She's making sure she's close to Issei, like, really close. And she's got nowhere else to go. Meanwhile, Rias has this bright idea to throw Issei into some basic training, mostly to keep him from running out of breath every time he has to walk upstairs or throw a punch or two. Have I ever mentioned the weird alarm tone this boy uses? It's weird, but can somebody tell me where to get one? Comments, please. After sweating it out in training, Asia has decided to crash at his place, all because she wants to be with him and she's transferring to his class. Anyway, Asia's charm works wonders, and soon enough she's the most popular girl in Icy's class. Everyone's loving her sweet, innocent vibe. I've actually heard people say they prefer their girl, slim, small, petite, looking innocent, and I know it's you. Go get yourself a thick Latina. Speaking of crazy, Issei's trying to step up his game. He's distributing pamphlets like a pro, and I guess I also didn't mention that he is at the top of his flyer sharing game, because he wants to grow enough to have him a servant that he can do all sorts of wild things to, or with. He gets another weirdo, Miltan, the muscular man, who's built like a tank, but dreams of being a magic girl. Later, during PE, Issei finds himself moping in the sick room because, yet again, no one wants to sign a contract with him when he wakes up to find Rias, naked, and casually snoozing right next to him. He tries to get him a wholesome feel of her milk factory, but she wakes up and they strike a deal that if he can land a contract, he can have a wonderful time with her milk jugs. At this point, you'd think Issei is living in some harem anime like High School DxD. Oh wait, this is High School DxD. So, Issei's new client is a foreign girl named Susan. She's obsessed with samurais. She's always decked out in full samurai armor. She wants help getting her notes back from university. And oh yeah, she needs assistance with her love confession. Susan writes a love letter, and surprisingly, it works. She confesses her feelings to a guy named Hori, who is walking around in medieval knight armor. I have never seen a match so perfect in my entire life. Back at the Occult Research Club, Boy was ready to cash in that Jug Factory field deal he had. But he had only 5 seconds, and the monkey wasted it, instead of jumping right in there the moment she said yes. So it's finally time for Issei and Asia to level up. Rias decides they've done enough hustling and now deserve their own familiars. As Rias is about to reveal her own familiar, the student council busts in, looking all official, and it turns out the president of the council, Sona, isn't just some overachieving schoolgirl. No, she's a high-class devil from the prestigious Citri clan. Rias introduces her crew to Sona's crew, and then the real showdown begins between Issei and Saji. These two knuckleheads instantly start a rivalry, like Naruto and Sasuke, but way less cool. Saji brags that Sona already gave him the green light to get a familiar. Now both Rias and Sona are in a bind, because apparently, only one group can snag a familiar at a time. As if things weren't already messy enough, the queens from both sides decide the best way to settle this is a tennis match. What? I was executing a Goku versus Vegeta level battle for some serious power upgrades for ISA. Anyway, the tennis match ends in a tie. The teams regroup, scratching their heads, wondering what to do next. Rias and Aquino have an epiphany: dodgeball. Can't someone whisper into their ears about an epic battle? The dodgeball match kicks off, and it's pure chaos. Demonic powers are flying everywhere, and they somehow manage to turn a regular schoolyard game into a scene out of Dragon Ball Z. The Occult Research Club wins, but not without turning the entire gym into a smoking crater. After that wild spectacle, the gang heads to the familiar forest, where they meet Zatuji, the familiar master. He looks like a character from One Piece. As they venture through the forest, they run into an Undine, which Issei is super excited about. The Undines are not the graceful, ethereal beings he imagined. They're more like buff old ladies in pink togas. The disappointment on Issei's face is not as priceless as the look of disgust on my face right now. They soon find a baby sprite dragon, but just as he's about to make his move, a slime shows up. And not just any slime. This slime dissolves clothes, which naturally gets Issei's undivided attention. I heard of this slime before, can't just pinpoint the anime it was used in, though Rias and the rest of the group obliterate the slime in disgust. In a final twist, the sprite dragon shocks everyone, literally, by taking a liking to Asia. She makes it her familiar and names it Rase, while Issei's left sulking, dreaming of what could have been. Issei, our favorite clueless perv, finds himself daydreaming about marrying Rias. This dreamy thought doesn't just warm his heart though, it also gets him connected to his little Johnny, Nig gun. Later, at school, Issei, Suda, and Toha decide it's time for their daily dose of humiliation. They sneak into the girls' changing room to spy on the kendo club. You'd think they'd learn by now, but nope, they're caught red-handed, and Kaneko, being the pint-sized powerhouse she is, gives them a free trip to Pain City. Imagine Koneko as a fusion of Levi from Attack on Titan and Nami from One Piece. You know, small but terrifying. Back at the club room, things are calmer. Asia's healing Issei's injuries, because well, someone has to after Kaneko's beatdown. Meanwhile, Rias casually mentions that she doesn't mind showing her body to Issei. Yeah, nothing weird about that at all, and I'm beginning to feel she's got the hots for this useless boy. After Issei and the gang leave, Rias and Aquino have a heart-to-heart. Aquino worries that she's falling for him, but Rias brushes it off. Just when things seem peaceful, a mysterious magic circle pops up in the room. Fast forward to Issei's room at night. Suddenly Rias appears out of thin air and without warning blurts out that she wants Issei to take her virginity. Wait, hold up. Wait a minute. Before Issei and you can even process what's happening, because let's be real, two of you, your brains are slower than a Shikamaru strategy session. Another character interrupts. This mysterious newcomer is Graphia, and she's here to escort Rias away. Issei's left standing there, more confused than Naruto trying to understand math. The next day, things take a sharp turn. Issei meets Riser, another high-class devil, and Ria's so-called fiancé. I know you just gasped, too. I gasped so hard I almost swallowed a fly. But yeah, fiancé. As expected, Rias isn't thrilled about this arrangement, and she's not the type to go along with someone just because their family says so. The argument between Rias and Riser quickly heats up like an episode of Dragon Ball Z Enter Grafia again, playing the mediator like she's some sort of referee for supernatural squabbles. She suggests that instead of a wedding, Rias and Riser settle things with a rating game, which is basically a fancy devil version of a duel. After the terms are agreed upon, Riser introduces his all-girls peerage, and Issei's face goes from green with envy to full-blown admiration. But his admiration quickly turns into rage when Riser starts flirting with his queen, Yuba Luna, right in front of Rias. Even Issei, the king of pervs, has more tact than that. Fueled by jealousy, hatred, and envy, Issei challenges Riser to a fight. It doesn't go well. Riser's pawn, Mira, who's supposedly the weakest of the bunch, wipes the floor? Bro. She tainted the whole series with his ass. It's like when Rock Lee took off his weights and absolutely crushed Gaara. Except in this case, Issei didn't have any secret techniques up his sleeve. Riser leaves with a smug grin, and Rias is left to accept the terms for the upcoming rating game. So, it's crunch time for the Occult Research Club. In just 10 days, they'll face Riser Fenix and his overconfident crew in a rating game. Naturally, Rias isn't taking any chances, so she drags the whole squad to some remote mountain cottage that even Google Maps would break a sweat trying to find. It's time for hardcore training, and everyone's pumped. First up, Issei trains with Kiba in sword fighting. Well, trains is a strong word. Kiba is basically slicing through the air like he's starring in Demon Slayer, while Issei is more like the guy in the background flailing around, hoping not to stab himself. Then, there's Akino, who's all about magic. She's out here doing fairy tale level spells, and Issei's best contribution is looking dazed while trying not to set himself on fire. As for Kaneko, she's in charge of close combat, and let's just say Issei versus Kaneko is like pitting a kitten against a full-fledged grizzly bear. It's not pretty, but here's the plot twist. Asia, sweet little Asia, is actually getting the hang of magic. Well, Issei's strength, brace yourselves, comes in the kitchen. Yup, our boy can't swing a sword to save his life, but when it comes to peeling potatoes with magic, oh, he's a master. The secret is that he pictures a Kano in her full glory form, and voila. The potatoes are flying out of their skins like they've got somewhere important to be. As he's peeling veggies like the world's weirdest wizard, Issei gets this light bulb moment. He recalls the same feeling he had when he first activated his sacred gear during that fight with Kalawarner. While everyone else is perfecting their battle strategies, Issei is developing a new move. Meanwhile, Grafia, ever the serious maid, is off having a chat with Surzex. The big topic is Rias accepting the rating game challenge. Fast forward to nighttime. Issei, like a typical anime protagonist, sneaks out to practice his new move, thinking no one will notice. He pulls Asia into it by borrowing her dress. She wonders what he wants to do with her dress, hopefully not beating the crap out of his meat. But Asia catches him in the act as he is practicing his vegetable slicing skills on a dummy, and she gets caught in the blast. The next day, Rias decides it's time for a history lesson. She starts explaining the whole backstory of devils, angels, and fallen angels, and how all of that led to the creation of the rating games. Everyone listens intently, except for Issei, who's probably still daydreaming about peeling potatoes. Later that night, Issei has a heart-to-heart with Rias about Riser's abilities. She shares her reasons for rejecting her engagement, and Issei, in true My Hero Academia fashion, starts moping about how weak he is. She shoves him right into her milk factory to comfort him. I hope ladies are taking notes. Be rest is life. But the next morning, something miraculous happens. Issei has another sparring session with Kiba, and this time, he powers up his boosted gear enough to pull off a dragon shot, and he levels an entire mountainside. This moment marks Issei's first ever victory against Kiba, and it's a huge one. Not only does it boost his confidence, but it also means Rias's intense training sessions have finally worked. Let's hope they're ready for Riser, because with Issei's potato-peeling powered moves, he will get his behind mopped around when he faces off Riser. 1 hour before the big rating game, our boy Icy was mentally preparing in his room like a pro athlete before a championship match. Except this isn't football, it's supernatural chess with punches. He's all serious, probably muttering something about power-ups and how he better not mess this up. Enter Asia, looking for some emotional backup. She pops in, doing that classic concerned anime girl thing, her big eyes practically sparkling. Issei, being Issei, tries to keep cool. Just as the conversation starts getting real, his alarm clock rings out. Time to roll. They head over to the Occult Research Club, the place where all the magic happens. Literally. Upon arriving, the whole squad's there, putting on their best game faces, prepping for their showdown with Riser and his bunch of overpowered misfits. It's the final countdown. Before they can head out, Sona and her loyal sidekick Tsubaki, with a casual good luck look. They wave off like cool senpais while Rias thanks them, adding a hint of extra drama. Fast forward, and bam. The Gremory team's transported to this alternate dimension that looks like a replica of Kuo Academy. It's the perfect setting for this epic showdown. Before the game kicks off, Rias, acting like the boss she is, pulls everyone together for a strategy sesh. She's got Akeno, Yuto, and Kaneko running around, setting traps like they're in a battle royale, while she pulls Issei aside. Remember that little seal she slapped on him for being too weak? Yeah, she loosens that a bit, giving him a minor power-up. Issei's feeling pretty pumped and thinking to himself that maybe I won't die in the first round. After all the prep, Issei and Kaneko head over to the gym, and oh boy, waiting for them are 4 of Riser's lackeys. Shuelen, the powerhouse rook, and the 3 pawns, Mira, Ile, and Nell. Kaneko sizes up Shuelen, cracks her knuckles, and jumps into battle mode. She's ready to throw hands. Meanwhile, Issei's staring at the 3 pawns, knowing he's about to be outnumbered. 3 against 1? Not cool, but is it weird that I can't wait for them to beat the crap out of him even when I know plot armor won't let anything happen to him? The fight gets intense. Issei's struggling at first and probably thinking of pulling a Naruto and summoning some hidden strength. Then, boom. He activates his boosted gear and doubles his power. The pawns are caught off guard as Issei whips out his secret technique, Dress Break, which, well, let's just say it strips them of their clothes. Forget having a slime that devours clothes. Bro lost a slime and gained the ability to do exactly what the slime was going to be used for. The pawns are left completely defenseless, and Icy stands victorious. Blushing, but victorious. Meanwhile, Kaneko pulls off a sweet submission move on Weilan, taking her down like a boss. Together, they leave the gym as Akeno swoops in to drop a finishing blow, blowing the gymnasium to smithereens. Issei's still standing there, all proud, while Kaneko's filled with disgust. Maybe she's jealous that Issei won't look her way because she's got no milk jugs and nothing on her behind. It's bad enough that little Asia has something tangible going on in her milk factory. Over in the forest, Kiba's got his own situation going on, facing off against Riser's pawns. Shuria, Marion, and Barent, who fall right into the traps Rias's team had set up. It's like a Pokemon trap, but way more lethal. But the plot thickens like my girl when I finally get her and feed her all the junk money can buy, and all this large chunk of meat. As Issei and Kaneko move forward, Kaneko's still fuming over Issei's antics with the dress break. She speeds ahead, not wanting to deal with his nonsense. But then bam! Out of nowhere, Riser's queen, Yubaluna, sneaks in with a surprise attack, knocking Kaneko out cold. Hayasei's left standing there, all wide-eyed, and WTF, is bro gonna do? Strip her? Issei was ready to throw hands with Yubaluna, all fired up to get revenge for Kaneko. But before he could make a move, Akeno stepped in with her usual calm and slightly scary smile. She tossed a look over her shoulder at him and left Issei standing there like a backup character in one piece. So, with nothing to do, Issei went to team up with Yuto, while Akeno and Yubaluna started throwing lightning and explosions around like a high-stakes fireworks show. Meanwhile, Rias was furiously revising her battle plan like she was trying to cram for a final exam she hadn't studied for. Akeno's fight threw everything off, but she decided to go straight for Riser, the cocky Firebird dude who always acted like he owned the place. With that power, bro owns the series, but not for long. Naturally, Issei and Yuto were really not in confirmation with the plan, but Rias wasn't having it, and charged ahead, leaving the 2 guys to handle Riser's squad of baddies. Riser's team was a real mixed bag. His sister Ravel, who looked sweet, but was probably plotting everyone's demise. Carlamine, the sword-wielding knight who could probably slice through a tank. Isabella, the tank herself, Ceres, another knight who gave off major cool girl vibes, and the twin pawns Ni and Lee, who probably finished each other's sentences like they were in some kind of twin anime cliche. Yuto went up against Carlamine, while Issei found himself facing Isabella. Issei, never one to play fair, hit Isabella with his dress break move, which was both incredibly useful at embarrassing his opponent. With her movements disabled, Issei fired off his dragon shot, knocking Isabella out of the game. But just as he was feeling pretty proud of himself, he noticed Rias was getting seriously outmatched by Riser. Issei's hero complex kicked into overdrive and here come the Power Rangers. He knew he had to step up, so he let his boosted gear evolve, transforming it into the boosted gear gift. Then, like some kind of shonen anime protagonist, he transferred all that extra power over to Yuto. With his new power boost, Yuto went full sword. Master mode, slicing through Riser's remaining team like they were butter. In one epic swing, Carlamine, Cirrus, Ni, and Lee were all wiped out, leaving only Ravel standing. But just when they thought they had this fight in the bag, Akeno got KO'd by Yubelina, and Yuto got blasted off the battlefield like he'd forgotten his plot armor at home. Issei, not one to listen to common sense or stop to use his devil brain for a minute, ran straight into enemy territory, ignoring Ravel's advice. He promoted himself to queen and rushed to the rooftop, hoping to help Rias and Asia. But when he got there, he realized his body had had enough of the power boost and was shutting down like a faulty laptop having Windows issues. Riser is now smelling victory as he was pummeling Issei into the ground, leaving our hero on the verge of death, and in a twist that could make any anime fan shout, "No!" Rias, fearing for Issei's life, threw in the towel. Just like that, Riser won, leaving everyone wondering what was next for Team Rias. Let's end this, shall we? So imagine waking up after a tough day, only to realize you passed out on your bed, completely beat. That's exactly what happens to Issei after his wild battle in the raiding game against Riser and his gang. Our boy Issei feels like, no, he is the biggest loser ever, blaming himself for Rias having to step down. He thinks to himself that it's all my fault. And they lost because he's such a weakling. You can almost hear him playing some sad anime music in his head. Just as he's wallowing in his self-pity, Grafia, who works for the big boss Surzex, shows up. You know it's serious when someone like Grafia turns up at your house. She hands him a magic circle that acts like a VIP pass to the engagement party of the century, the Gremory Phoenix Forced Wedding. It's basically the underworld version of a royal wedding. Issei wastes no time and teleports right to the party. And in true Issei fashion, he crashes it like the main man he is. As you'd expect, everyone's like, oh no, he didn't. But Surzex steps in to suggest a more civilized way to handle things. A one-on-one brawl between Issei and Riser. And what's on the line? Oh, nothing serious, just Rias's engagement. But here's the kicker. Issei's been cooking up a secret plan. Bro came here with more cheat codes than you and I have ever used in GTA. He's traded his left arm to the dragon that's chilling inside him for a ridiculous power boost. But as usual, there's a catch. He's only got 10 seconds to use that power. So it's basically a high-stakes anime speedrun. I just went through a brain rack and I got it for you. The fight starts, and Issei's going all out. He's throwing punches that could shake the heavens. Riser's looking a bit shaken, but here's the thing. Riser is a phoenix. This guy has more lives than an isekai protagonist, and Issei's time is ticking fast. 10 seconds are up, and Issei is out of juice. But plot twist, even without that power, Issei's got one last trick up his sleeve. Holy objects he snagged from Asia. I told you he came with more cheats than your lazy behind used in GTA. He hurls them at Riser, and boom! Riser's in agony, like a vampire who just saw daylight. Issei wins the fight with a blow graced by the holy water and the rosary. If this were Fire Force, Aaliyah would be saying the prayer, and when this blow lands, she'd say, Latom, and Rias is free from the engagement. As they ride away on Griffin, Rias plants a big ol' kiss on Issei while they're flying on the Griffin. This foolish boy is willing to give everything to save his master. But we all know this is just the beginning. The next season is going to be way better than this ending. Don't forget to leave a like if you actually enjoyed this recap. And we have a lot more insane recaps in store for you. So comment, I want more, if you want more. And don't forget to subscribe for more anime recaps to be unfolded. Also, hit the notification bell so you don't miss out on our daily updates.